Ladies and gentlemen, I now declare the 2022 Vernon Town Meeting in order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is right there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. As you know, we've had a very tough 2 years, something called COVID-19. It's taken far too many of our citizens, our neighbors, and people all across this town, this state, and this country, and this world. Please, let's give a moment of silence in their memory. Please be seated. Now, before we get to our meeting, I have a couple of guests I'd like to introduce. One is the principal of Vernon School, who is hosting today's event. Good to have our town meeting back at Vernon School. A nice, warm welcome from Mary Ross. Knock 'em dead, kid.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to be with you on this beautiful day. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm not a resident of Vernon, but I'm a proud member of this Vernon community. I just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce myself to those of you who I haven't seen in person or met in person. My name's Mary Ross. This is my 5th year as the principal at this beautiful school you see behind you. And my primary purpose in coming to speak to you today was to say thank you to the Vernon community for your support of our recent school budget for the 22-23 school year, and for the many ways in which all of you support the children of Vernon School. I feel very proud to be here. I feel very glad to be here with the support of an amazing school board and an amazing PTC, parent-teacher group. We have a group of 157 K-6 students who have worked incredibly hard. Some of them are here today. Through a couple of really hard years, dealing with some things that children and adults shouldn't have to deal with in this pandemic. And so I just wanted to say publicly thank you for your support of the school. Thank you for your support of me and the children. Great job to the teachers and faculty and children of Vernon School for working so hard these past couple years. And I look forward to many brighter days like the day we have today, literally and figuratively ahead. Thank you so much.
And before we introduce our select board, there's one more person I'd like to introduce. Believe it or not, the Vermont legislature is still going through its 2022 session, and we are represented by a young lady from Guilford. Let's give a warm welcome to Sarah Coffey.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, everyone. Oh, it's so great to see you all on this beautiful day, and that you're taking time away from your gardens to participate in our democracy. And I promised Tim that I would be brief because I know you have an agenda today. But town meeting is one of my favorite Vermont traditions, where our communities come together to review budgets and civically debate the issues of the day. And I just wanted to share a very brief update from the legislature. As you know, this pandemic has landed on all of us and has been a huge challenge. And on January 18th, after nearly 2 years of working remotely, the Vermont House returned to work in person. And it has been such an honor and pleasure working under the Golden Dome with my colleagues. We are in the second year of a 2-year biennium with less than 2 weeks to go. So we are working long days and frantically to bring our final pieces of priority legislation across the finish line. And I've heard from a lot of you about your concerns around affordable childcare, workforce shortages, the needs of small businesses, the needs of our students, families and seniors, concerns around pension reform, and creating more affordable housing for retirees and working families. This pandemic has left an indelible mark on all of us, and we're facing a number of long-range challenges that cannot be solved in a single session. But with the arrival of one-time federal funds that we often refer to as ARPA, that came through the American Rescue Plan Act, the legislature has been working hard to make meaningful and transformational investments for our towns and communities with the aim to boost our recovery and set us on a path for a long and strong economic future. So in the House, we have passed some signature legislation that will make major investments to build out rural broadband, help our communities in our state address climate change, continue support for small businesses and nonprofits, and investments in workforce development, specifically for students, our career and technical education centers, and around nursing. Those are two areas that have been highlighted as acute needs. And over the past year, we have worked intensively to stabilize our pension system, which is for our state employees and our teachers. And this is a question that has eluded many administrations and many legislatures. But with this one-time funding, we have been able to make, I'm just really proud of the work of my colleagues who worked all summer in a task force with representatives from the unions and key stakeholders. And we've come to an agreement where everybody made compromises. And we were able to put some of these one-time dollars to help stabilize the state employee and teacher pension funds. And most importantly, well, as important, we'll save Vermont taxpayers $2 billion over time. And in these next days ahead, we will be finalizing legislation that will make important changes to the governance of Act 250, how we approach developing more affordable housing and making systemic reforms to address Vermont's opioid crisis and equity. So, and I hope that I will wrap up here, but I just want you to know that I'm committed to communication and transparency, and I'm very happy to share more details with anyone who wants to talk. I'll be here for a while, but I also send out regular newsletters via email, and if you're not on my list, please shoot me an email and I can add you. I also host my monthly Coffee with Coffee Hours, and they're really terrific. It's the third Saturday of every month, and the next one is coming up on May 21st. And it's been really great to get folks from Guilford and Vernon to come together. We're continuing for now to have these on Zoom because the feedback that I've gotten is that it's more convenient on Zoom. But I'm also really happy to come to community meetings, and I regularly do come. I recently met with the Vernon School Board and met with the group of Vernon seniors. And meeting with folks and hearing firsthand, what your questions and concerns are really helps me do my work, and I really enjoy these meetings. And so if you invite me, I will come. But in closing, I want to say I know it takes so much to make our communities great places to live and work, and there are so many people here who volunteer their time, and I just want to acknowledge so many of you, the folks who serve on our select boards, on our planning commission, on our school boards, and all of the various community commissions. And I really want to say how proud I am to see the recent news that Vernon was one of 10 projects to receive an earmark from Senator Leahy for the Governor Hunt House, and a recent announcement through the Agency of Commerce and Community Development for a continued municipal planning grant to look at recreational resources, how to build on those in town. And everything to seeing the news recently about the Vernon elementary students taking CPR classes. So it's just really heartening to me, and it makes me so proud to represent and serve this community. And I just want folks to know that please reach out to me. Sometimes it can be really helpful to have your state rep. If you're having an issue, whether it's with the DMV or with an unemployment claim or anything, I'm here to serve this community. And really, it continues to be an honor to represent Vernon in the Vermont House. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm looking forward to hearing the discussion and conversation today. Thank you so much.
Now, to briefly go over the rules of our meeting for this afternoon, Robert's Rules of Order are the basic rules for this meeting except where Vermont law takes precedence. You can change Robert's rules with a 2/3 vote. You cannot change Vermont state law unless you get a majority of people like Sarah to go along with you and the governor to sign it. An article must be moved and seconded by the body, then restated before it is under consideration, and debate on the article may begin. After I restate the motion, the person who made the motion has the right to speak first in debate. Articles may have only one amendment at a time associated with them, and amendments to an article likewise may only have one amendment at a time associated with them. After you've spoken on a particular article once, you'll not be recognized a second time unless everyone else who's had a chance to speak is given an opportunity to do so. Robert's rules only allows a given speaker to speak twice on a given motion. Division of the House can be requested by one voter before or after a voice vote. Vermont state law provides for a paper ballot vote on the request of 7 voters, unless the town has made other arrangements again before or after a voice vote or after a division of the House. It means the moderator could ask for a voice vote and then declare the motion passed. Someone could immediately request division of the House, and then we could either ask for a show of hands or have that counted, or then request a paper ballot if that meets the minimum requirements. Debate may be cut off by a motion to move the previous question at a 2/3 vote. You cannot just shout, move the question. You need to be recognized by the moderator. All motions, remarks, and discussion must be addressed to the moderator. I will do my best to recognize you in the order that you have raised your hands. You must be recognized to speak and wave your voter card. You should have gotten one of these. Okay, thank you. After being recognized, please stand up, get to the microphone in the center of the room, state your name, and speak in a loud voice so comments can be heard by all of us around us. And it's going live today on BCTV as well. We also have 2 sign language interpreters to not only help those who are deaf or hard of hearing, but for the replay as well. It takes all of us to make our village. Your speech must be confined to the merits of the question. You'll not be allowed to engage in personal attacks on any member of the body or their motives. Vermont state law says you cannot take up articles that have not been warned. Please raise your hand and ask a question if you don't understand what's happening, or if you'd like to make something happen and you don't know how. I'm going to restate the 4 words that are on the wall outside the playground: safe, responsible, kind, and respectful. Let's please all follow that rule. I'd like to introduce our Select Board Chair, Sandra Harris, who will introduce the members of the Select Board. Mrs. Harris.
I think this is on?
Yeah. Just move it up close.
Okay. Oh, this is very close. Okay, Michael Root, Jeff Dunkley, Tom Garino, Jean Carr, and our administrator, Shelley Walker.
Mrs. Harris, may I actually interrupt you for half a second?
You certainly may.
Today is Ms. Walker's birthday, so let's all sing her happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Shelley. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Tim. I'd also like to thank all the volunteers that help us do our job. Okay, back to you, Tim.
Are you all set?
Yep, I'm all set.
All right. Well, Articles 1 through 5 were disposed of on March the 1st. So we now move to Article number 6, which reads, shall the voters authorize the total general fund expenditure for operating expenses of $1,992,571.08, of which $1,698,121.08 shall be raised by taxes. $294,450 by estimated income with no carryover from FY 21-22. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mrs. Harris.
I move that the voters authorize the total general fund expenditure for operating expenses of $1,992,571.08, of which $1,698,121.08 shall be raised by taxes. $294,450 shall be by estimated income with no carryover from fiscal year 21-22.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that the voters authorize the total general fund expenditure for operating expenses of $1,992,571.08, of which $1,698,121.08 shall be raised by taxes, $294,450 by estimated income with no carryover from FY 21-22. Mrs. Harris, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I'd like to have you guys look at your handout, which will go over it, and any questions from the audience will be answered by the department heads.
Any further discussion on Article number 6? Please come to the microphone if you could, please.
Munson Hicks.
Is that on?
Check.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. Munson Hicks. I just have a question because I'm a little confused on the writing, because it looks to me like $294,450,000 of estimated income. There are 3 extra zeros, and then the cents come in. I assume
Nobody
that's...
can hear it.
Please turn up the volume. Thank you.
As I read the, I can be heard, trust me. As I read the article, it says the $294,450,000 by estimated income. I assume that that is incorrect?
That is a typo.
That is a typo. So we should amend that.
Unofficial warrant.
Yes, we should.
Should be amended.
Mrs. Harris.
Mr. Moderator, I would amend the article to be the $294,450
That was the way you read it. There must have been an error
on the printing.
on the printed version?
Yeah, there was.
Okay. So,
So we need to amend it because it's wrong on the printed.
we can do that. Do we have a second on the amendment?
Second.
Moved and seconded that the motion be amended under the area of estimated income to read $294,450. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you wish to speak to your amendment or any other discussion on the amendment to Article 6? If none, all those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have amended Article 6. So we continue with discussion on the main article as amended. I recognize you, ma'am. Please come to the microphone.
Mary Lynn Sherwin.
Make sure you speak right up.
You need to turn it
Let's make sure that's on. Mr. Dio is coming in your direction. Please wait for him. Yeah, let's leave that on, Ian.
Is that the on? Okay. Yeah. Here we go. We have had some increased problems since the budget was done in North Cemetery that we're having to remedy, which is going to cost us $5,490. So I would like to amend the cemetery budget, therefore amending the general fund budget by this amount.
I consider that a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
The motion is that we amend the budget by adding $5,490 to the cemetery budget. Would you like to speak to your motion further?
If anyone has any questions, like I said, we've had increased problems in the North Cemetery that we found that we're going to have to put some locking gates on the cemetery so that there's not free access. There'll be the two end portions of the cemetery will have locking gates, and then the middle gate will be where you can walk through. So there's not just free access. And I can answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the amendment to the motion? Please come to a microphone and state your name and state your question or comment.
Maggie Tuck-Sauer, could this issue be solved by having the alleged police force that we have possibly police the cemeteries better and actually the community better than putting money into gates for the cemetery?
Ms. Sherlin, you are queried if you so choose.
We have gone that route. The Sheriff's Department has talked with the main offenders multiple times, and it has not remedied the situation at all.
Ms. Sauer, I will allow you one follow-up, and then we have another question in the back of the room.
Maggie Tuck-Sauer, so if I'm to understand, we know who the offenders are, and we're still going to spend tax dollars to put up gates to protect our cemeteries.
Young lady in the bluish top, if you could come to the microphone. Yes, that's you, Faith. It's green? I can't tell. I know it's not purple.
Faith Jobin. I'm wondering why it's costing over $5,000 for locks and gates, I'm assuming.
The cemetery committee chair is queried.
Well, they are metal gates, and they have padlocks that are built into them so that you just can't cut the padlock off. Does that make sense?
We'll allow you a follow-up, Ms. Jobin.
I'm wondering how many keys are going to be in town for the padlocks, if there's going to be a lot or if there's just going to be like a couple.
Yes. There will be one in the town building. The Rodney Bell will have one, and probably the caretakers will have one. So there may be three keys.
Okay, there's another. Please go ahead. I think that's Mr. Pond. I really can't tell. Come on up. All I see are shadows out there.
It's okay. It's all I want to be is a shadow.
State your name, please.
Name is George Pond. The only question I have, and I don't know, it's probably an obvious thing. First of all, do cemeteries have vandalism or insurance on them? And second question that I'd like to ask is if they know who's doing it and they don't do nothing. I would say, our town, we have a lawyer that gets paid very well. Let's get the names to him and let's get some charges or some retaliation to them.
Yeah, if we could use a microphone to hear that, thank you.
We have considered doing a no trespass order against them, the main family, but there's also some other friends within that family that are there. Those particular people we do not know. And then there's also some other people going in too that we don't know. That route we have looked at, and law enforcement has agreed that it will probably make no difference throwing paper at them. They will not abide by it. They haven't abided by the rules of the cemetery thus far. They're not going to abide by that either.
Further comments? Person with their voter card up, Mr. Pond. If nobody else has a question or anything, I'll allow you to speak a second time.
Then what I would say, if we're not going to do anything to help ourselves other than put gates up, gates are made to jump, and people go over them very well. So why waste the money to keep them out, because they're going to get in anyways.
Further discussion on the article, on the amendment, that is, to the article? Seeing none, the amendment is to add $5,490 to the cemetery line item in the budget under Article 6. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The chair is in doubt. If we could have our BCA members and a couple of other volunteers count hands. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Or actually, please raise your hand. It'd be better. You can't count voices, you can count hands. Check with Sandy. She counted the three. Okay. I need a number. Thank you. All those opposed to the amendment, please raise your voter cards. Listen now to the results of your vote. Listen now to the results of your vote. On the amendment, those voting yes, 25. Those voting no, 38. I declare the motion has been defeated. We now go back to the original Article 6 as amended. Any further discussion on the article? Seeing none, I'm going to read the article again. that the voters authorize the total general fund expenditure for operating expenses of $1,992,571.08, of which $1,698,121.08 shall be by taxes, $294,450 by estimated income, with no carryover from FY 21-22. All those in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have passed Article number 6. Article number 7, shall the voters appropriate a sum of $95,823 to be raised by taxes for administration of the Vernon Free Library. Do we have a motion? Please come to the microphone, Mr. Heffley, and state your name.
Ian Heffley. Mr. Moderator, I move the voters appropriate the sum of $95,823 to be raised by taxes for the administration of the Vernon Free Library.
Do we have a second? Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate a total library fund expenditure of $95,823 to be raised by taxes for administration of the Vernon Free Library. Do you wish to speak to your motion, Mr. Heffley?
Yes.
Please do.
The Vernon Free Library is helping the town residents get back to a more normal life. We offer both in-person and online services. There are detailed descriptions in this handout that you all should have gotten when you checked in. And you can check in on that for further information or talk to any one of us who are here. In our building, we offer DVDs, audiobooks, and periodicals in addition to our extensive book collection. And this year, we've been most excited to welcome many, many new patrons, and see the faces of all the returning patrons. All of you have brought our number of registered borrowers to 933. Now that we're back in the building, our knitting and reading groups have also resumed. And we ask that you support the budget of this library, that the library can continue to serve us all. And at this point, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to give the floor to Jean Carr, our library director, to answer any questions that folks may have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Carr. If you'd like to speak, if not, we'll ask for any questions of the voters. Yeah, make sure you use the microphone, please.
There we go. When I've been able to do a PowerPoint, Ian has gone over most of the information that would be in that. I would also point out on the paper that you picked up about the library that there's a vast amount of digital services available to library patrons, which has been very important for all aspects of learning, job searching, your own recreation. And of course the budget was on the back of that, and if anybody has any questions, I will do my best to answer.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions on Article number 7? Faith, come on up.
Here we go.
And again, if you're just arriving, make sure you check in with the assistant clerk. Make sure you check in.
Glad you made it.
I have two questions.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, the first question is, have you applied for any grants to offset the monies that you're asking for from the town? And the second one is about insurances. The library is not open very many hours, and I can't understand why there's so much being asked for insurance for people that aren't there very many hours.
So to be upfront with that, that insurance is mine because I'm the only full-time employee, and that is the cost of medical insurance. What was the first part of your question?
The grants.
The
Are you
grants.
asking for
I
any
have
grants?
multiple grants. We have a grant for our courier service. We have a grant that helps pay for internet, does not pay for all of it. We have a grant to help with the summer reading program. We have, we've gotten a CARES Act grant last year. We're in the first phase of an ARPA grant, and I'll be applying for another phase of that. So every grant that comes available for the library, I really do try to go after. We have multiple grants.
Okay.
Further questions on Article number 7? There's a hand back there. Come on up. State your name.
Jesse Jobin. So my question is, it's my understanding that there are late fees now with the books? No late fees?
No, there are no late fees. That's why we have Vernon Free Library. No fees to join, no late fees.
My mother lied.
No, there's no fees. If you lose a book, we would like you to pay to replace
Right, so
it.
that, I guess that's kind of where I was headed. I was under the impression that there was late fees. If there's not,
No.
I don't see why us as a town, we couldn't agree that there should be some sort of value to it being late so somebody else can enjoy it. The other thing would be if a book does come up missing, is it face value? Is it based off of like current market value of what the book is? Just trying to think of ways that we can get some money back.
Right. I would ask people to pay what it would cost to replace what they lost.
Still no late fees though.
No, and that's a thing of the past in libraries. It's discouraging to ever get the books back again as people accumulate fees. You just won't ever see them again.
All right. No, that was it.
It kind of, I think we look at it too as being a little bit restrictive to people, whereas we are really trying to make this a very usable situation.
Okay.
But we go after them when the things are late.
Thank you.
Further questions or discussion on Article 7? Gentleman right here, Mr. Hicks, come on up.
Munson Hicks, this is just really a question of information. I was curious as to why the internet access has become so much more expensive over the last 2 years and what you're projecting.
We have fiber optic internet that's through Department of Libraries, and they contract with First Light. So those monthly fees have crept up. We also get an E-rate grant that helps pay for it, and that grant has shrunk some. So therefore, we're ending up needing to come up with more money ourselves. So the library's Wi-Fi is throughout the building inside, and 360 on the outside. I, through another grant, was able to get a hotspot on this end of the building, and the other end where the library is, pretty much our Wi-Fi goes outside of the building up there. So all around the town office building has Wi-Fi access, as well as inside from the library's internet.
Further questions or discussion on Article 7? Seeing none, we'll move for a vote. The article is that voters appropriate a total library fund expenditure of $95,823 to be raised by taxes for administration of the Vernon Free Library. All those in favor of Article 7 as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have passed Article 7. Article number 8, to elect a library trustee to fill the expired term of 3 years through town meeting of March 2025. Do we have a motion on Article number 8? Please state your name and the motion?
Ellen Hardy. I nominate Kristen Bratton to fill the expired term of 3 years through town meeting of March 2025.
Thank you. Any second? Any further nominations on the library trustee? Seeing none, all those in favor of Kristen Bratton to fill the expired term of 3 years through town meeting March 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You've passed Article 8. Article number 9, to elect a library trustee to fill the expired term of 3 years through town meeting March of 2025. Do we have a motion? Please come forward, state your name, and state the motion.
Kristen Bratton. I nominate Cassie Salesman to fill the expired term of 3 years through town meeting of March 2025.
Do we have a second? Any further nominations? All those in favor of Kathy Feldman to fill the expired term of 3 years through town meeting March 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 9. Article 10, to elect a library trustee to fill the unexpired term of 3 years through town meeting March 2024. Do I have a motion? Please come forward.
Ian Heffley. Mr. Moderator, I nominate Julie Nevins to fill the term of 2 years as library trustee through town meeting of March 2024.
Do we have a second? Second. Moved and seconded that Julie Nevins fill the unexpired term of 3 years through town meeting March of 2024. Any further nominations?
Point of order. Ian said 2 years.
Now, if that's 3 years, that should go through 2025. Is it 3 or is it 2, Mr. Heffley?
22, 23, 24.
But it's an unexpired term.
It's an unexpired term, so...
There's 2 years left.
So 2 years left. Mr. Heffley, I'm going to hear that as a friendly amendment to your motion, and if the seconder agrees, that's fine.
Doesn't need to be an amendment.
So it would be to fill the unexpired term through March of 2024.
Correct.
Okay, because the others were expired terms, Ms. Tuck-Sauer. I want to make sure that we all stand corrected and I'm speaking the same language. But thank you for your point of order. It's okay, so any further nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of Julie Nevins to fill the unexpired term of 3 years, ending town meeting March of 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have passed Article 10. Article number 11. Page 3. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $1,100 to be raised by taxes to fund Vernon Historians, Inc. for the expenditures related to Vernon's historic preservation, educational promotion, and required insurance? Do we have a motion? Do we have a historian to make that motion?
Heather. She's right over there.
Heather, if you could come to a microphone, please. Please state your name and state the motion.
Heather Frost from the Vernon Historians. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $1,100 to be raised by taxes to fund the Vernon Historians Incorporated for the expenditures related to Vernon's historic preservation, educational promotion, and required insurance?
I hear a second there. So the motion is that the voters appropriate the sum of $1,100 to be raised by taxes to fund the Vernon Historians, Inc. for the purpose of record preservation, retention, and promotion of history educational initiatives and insurance coverage. Ms. Frost, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes.
Please do.
For those who aren't familiar with the Vernon Historians, we're a nonprofit organization. We were established in 1969, and our mission is to preserve and make available to the public Vernon's history. We're run by volunteers, operate a museum at the South School property, which is owned by the town of Vernon, and we are required to have insurance by the town to occupy this property. We also own and maintain the Pond Road Chapel property. We host free historical programs, submit articles to the Vernon newspaper, have displays in the foyer at the town building. We have a limited income. We're funded by membership dues and donations, sale of historical publications at the historian's right, bake sales, and other fundraising.
Any further discussion on Article 11? Any questions or further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of Article 11 as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You've passed Article 11. Article 12, shall the voters exempt the Pond Road Chapel from school and municipal taxes for the period of 2023 through 2027? And I see a motion coming back to the podium. Go ahead, please. Or to the microphone.
Shall the voters exempt the Pond Road Chapel from the school municipality taxes for the period of 2023 to 2027?
Do we have a second? Moved and seconded. The voters exempt the Pond Road Chapel from school and municipal taxation from 2023 through 2027. Discussion on the motion. Ms. Jobin, come on up.
Mr. Moderator, I was wondering if I can make an amendment to that and just make it that the taxpayers make it exempt indefinitely.
I believe there is a reason for that. And
State statute.
what's that?
You can only go 5 years.
We can only do 5 years at once, unfortunately, according to Vermont state law.
Okay.
And as I said earlier, we can't change Vermont state law
Okay.
unless we get Representative Coffey to start something in a future session.
Okay.
All right. So thank you for asking, however. Further discussion on Article number 12. Seeing none, the motion is for the voters to exempt Pond Road Chapel from school and municipal taxation from 2023 to 2027. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 12. Article 13. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Professional Services Fund? Do we have a motion on the floor? We need a lister, or Mr. Baldwin, please step forward. And please state your name when you come to the podium and the motion.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm Chad Baldwin. I'm one of the listers. The motion, Article 13, for voters to appropriate the sum of $25,000. The reason for that.
Oh, you just need to state the motion. You can have a chance to discuss it afterwards.
Sum of $25 or $25,000. My correction. To be raised by taxes to fund the Professional Service Fund.
Moved and seconded that the voters appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Professional Service Fund. Mr. Baldwin, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes. The reason for this fund is to pay for that really expensive lawyer someone mentioned earlier. And we also, the lister's office uses a
Use the microphone, please. Thank you.
Uses a third party to assess. Thank you. Assess the brain fart. Sorry.
Utilities.
The utilities that we have. Currently, we are in court with a couple of them, which is why it's so expensive. Does anyone need me to read off the numbers? No. All right. I apologize for my stuttering.
We thank you for your service. Any further discussion on the article, please step forward.
Hi, Deb Barrier. I'm actually wanted to query, and I thought I was going to be querying the select board on this. When I saw the 173K, And I was wondering if the select board could respond to why we paid out $173K over 10 months.
Mrs. Harris?
Unfortunately, that's what they charge. Okay, we have laws. We're involved in legal court cases. We have legal court cases going on now with the utilities who don't want to pay what they've been assessed for taxes, and they end up taking it as far as the Supreme Court often. And so, Chad, you want to go on with what we've paid?
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin, go ahead.
I'm Chad Baldwin, the lister. For just the lawyer itself, last year was $23,396.30 for lawyer fees. For the third party, it was a total of $44,776.73, which is a total of $161,415.52 to assess with the third-party organization between Great River Hydro, Velco, Power, and General Consult. Those three organizations, every single year, they fight to not pay their taxes as we assess them, and which is millions of dollars. All of them are well into the millions, but they don't want to pay that. Eventually they do, but we have to fight every single year, unfortunately. Any other questions?
Any further questions on Article number 13?
Mr. Moderator?
Mrs. Harris?
I wish to amend the article to read, shall the voters appropriate this sum of $50,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the professional services fund.
Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded that the motion under Article 13 be amended to read, the voters appropriate $50,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the professional services fund. Anyone else wish to speak to the amendment? Ms. Jobin?
Faith Jobin, why did we just double it?
The select board and the listers are queried if they so choose. Mrs. Harris?
Because the account is almost depleted.
And we're still in litigation.
And we're still in litigation. The account is almost
Go ahead.
used up. Go ahead.
Then why not triple it or quadruple it instead of just doubling it? If it's almost depleted, why just go a little bit instead of a lot?
You can make an amendment.
Further discussion on the Harris amendment. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of amending the line item under Article 13 to read $50,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the professional services fund, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. And you've amended Article 13. Now, further discussion on the article as amended. And seeing no further discussion, again, the motion as amended is that Article 13 shall read that the voters appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the professional services fund. All those in favor of Article 13 as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 13. Article number 14. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the emergency repair fund? Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Ms. Carr.
I move that the voters appropriate $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the emergency repair replacement fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the emergency repair replacement fund. Ms. Carr, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I will try to answer any questions if anyone has them.
Further discussion on Article 14. Seeing none, Ms. Tuck Sauer, please come forward.
Maggie Tuck Sauer, how are these funds divided between the departments, and why wouldn't there be emergency concessions made in each department for repairs within the department funds?
The board is queried.
So if you put a line item into each department and it's not spent for that year, it's gone. When we have a fund, the money can actually stay there and be available for the next year if needed. So, you know, say you had major things happen, you wouldn't have a year that you all of a sudden had to come up with $20,000 or $30,000. You know, we basically can keep saving, but yet it's there available for each department's emergencies.
And I'm sorry, I don't think you answered the question about the individual funds. So you don't have this is available to every department, this emergency fund?
Right. It's not something that's in every department's budget, because that would be a line item in their budget.
So this is a kind of a breakdown in the way that we set up our town budget. We're doing this because we have a breakdown in the way that we set up our town budget.
Do we? I'm not really understanding that. Because the nature of this being emergency, it's for those kind of things that you can't predict, and you couldn't just overspend somewhere.
Well, as someone with a master's in city management, I think this is a breakdown in how we set up our city budget.
So when I first saw this,
Mr. Guarino, you need to be recognized first. Please go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Moderator. When I first saw this, I thought like you did. This is not the way that I've been used to doing municipal finance. However, when the town has done their finance through funds, separate funds, as opposed to line item budgetary things that will close out at the end of the year. It has worked well for the town over the long period of time. So in the departmental budgets, you'll find repair and replacement. So if something breaks down that was unexpected, it would generally come from the repair or replacement line. The emergency fund line, the way I have been taught over the last year, and I agree, I've come around to it, is that it carries from year to year, and at such period of time, let's say, I'll pick on the Public Works Department, a motor blows in a particular vehicle that isn't under insurance. There isn't money in that line item in the budget. You would deficit spend that line item normally. This gives the opportunity to have a cushion where you're not going to deficit fund the line item and then come back to the taxpayers later on that your budget's upside down. I understand your point. I do. That's not the way that I was taught municipal budgeting, but it works here, and it has for decades at this point.
So the only reason that he wouldn't have money in his fund is because we as the taxpayers are not budgeting it for him and letting him keep it in his account, in his fund every year. That we as the taxpayers should have the right to allow him to continue to let that build because he knows how to run his department.
Then you would have a fund for each of the different departments, and that's not appropriate. What would happen is at the end of the fiscal year, that money would turn back to the general fund.
Why?
Ms. Tuck Sauer, there are others who wish to speak.
That's basic municipal budgeting.
Please explain, Branislav.
Thank you.
Please explain the difference between a rainy day fund, which is what I understood. When money is gone, as you said, Jean, it goes. Doesn't that money, if it's not spent, go back into the rainy day fund? What's the difference between that and this emergency fund, please?
Mr. Moderator.
Go ahead, Mr. Guarino.
I remembered this time.
Thank you.
When at the end of the fiscal year, there's money left in line items, it closes out to something that I call the general fund. That is different. It's gone, and you have to have it reappropriated at your next town meeting. So if you give $100 to the recreation department for the year and they spend $90, $10 at the end of the year closes out to the general fund. These special funds carry so that you have a number of special funds. Your capital fund is a special fund. Those monies carry from year to year and are able to be used for particular purposes. In this case, it's an emergency that would come before the select board.
Further discussion on the article will go to Ms. Jobin and then to Mr. Hicks.
Faith Jobin. Okay, I looked in this book and I could not find the Emergency Repair Replacement Fund. I would like to know how much is in it already. Then I have another question.
Mrs. Turnley will answer your first question, then you can ask your second.
Okay.
Mrs. Turnley.
Uh-oh, computer went. Sorry.
That's what I call an emergency repair or replacement.
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. Currently in the fund, there is $5,237.28.
Okay, then I don't
Thank
think
you.
we need more.
And your further question?
Oh, my further question is I don't think we need any more.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion on the article. Back of the room, I see a voter card. Come on up. Yeah, you really do. You really do need to come to the microphone. Oh, Munson first. Yes, thank you. Thank you. No, Munson, I said you could go first. I'm sorry. Being now a senior citizen, my mind is not what it once was.
I reserve comment.
Thank you.
Just a point about the special funds that we have set up as an interest thing. They make money for us, not very much, but they are in a fund that gets paid interest. If it's a line item, it doesn't earn any money. It just goes away at the end of the thing. So the funds are actually a little better.
Thank you. Ms. Baldwin, please come forward. State your name.
I'm Catherine Baldwin. It looks like in the appropriations thing here that we have nothing in the emergency repair replacement fund. It doesn't have any amount, but you just said 5,000 and something. Can you clarify that, please?
Mrs. Turnley?
Yes, we have $5,237.28 in that fund as of right now.
Okay. Why does this book say?
What page are you on, please?
31.
Pull up page 6. Those were appropriations from prior years, a prior year.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Further discussion on article number 14. Seeing none, again, the motion is that the voters appropriate $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Emergency Repair Replacement Fund. All those in favor of the article, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 14. Article number 15. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Town Road Upgrading Fund? Do we have a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Ms. Carr, please continue.
I move that the voters appropriate $100,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Town Road Upgrading Fund.
Moved and seconded that the voters appropriate $100,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Town Road Upgrading Fund. Ms. Carr, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I would like to ask Mr. Walker to answer questions or speak. Any questions?
Mr. David Walker is available for questions, comments, or discussion, or questions on Article 15.
Somebody.
Middle of the room, come on up.
Paul Miller. I guess my question just needs explanation as to how this differentiates from the Article 16, which follows it. This also asks for road upgrading culvert. What's the difference?
Mr. Walker, if you could explain the difference, please.
The next articles on our box culverts in town, anything over 3 feet, we have to get it engineered through the state, and then they tell us what we're going to put in. We're just trying to get money built up because we have roughly 25 culverts in town
So
under that one.
what about the upgrade, the road upgrade? What does that actually do?
The town road upgrade is for the paving of the roads, which will be Tyler Hill Road this year, which we're in the process of getting a grant to.
Further discussion on Article 15. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, which is to appropriate $100,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Town Road Upgrade Fund. All those in favor of the article, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have passed Article 15. Article 16, shall the voters appropriate the sum of $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Town Culvert Fund? Do I have a motion? Ms. Carr.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the voters appropriate $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Town Culvert Fund.
Do I have a second? Second. Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Town Culvert Fund. Ms. Carr, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I would like to ask Mr. Walker to address questions, please.
Thank you. Any further discussion on Article 16? Seeing none, all those in favor of the article as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You've passed Article 16. We move to Article 17. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $2,500 to be raised by taxes to fund the Town Parking Lots Maintenance Fund? Do I have a motion? Ms. Carr.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the voters appropriate the sum of $2,500 to be raised by taxes to fund the Town Parking Lots Maintenance Fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that the voters appropriate the sum of $2,500 to be raised by taxes to fund the Town Parking Lots Maintenance Fund. Ms. Carr, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I would like to ask Mr. Walker if he would answer questions.
Okay, any comments, discussion, etc. on Article 17? Seeing none, all those in favor of the article as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have passed Article 17. Article 18. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Elderly Assistance Fund? Do we have a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mrs. Harris.
I move that the voters appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Elderly Assistance Fund.
Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate a sum of $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Elderly Assistance Fund. Ms. Harris, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I'll defer to the Elderly Assistance Chair, Mary Lynn Sherwin.
Discussion on Article number 18. In the middle of the room, the waving voter card. Come on up.
Do I have to state my name again?
Yes. Every time you come
Jesse
up.
Jobin.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse.
I was just curious if we have a count on how many people receive benefits from this, or how many households, I should say.
The Elderly Assistance Fund Chair is queried. Come on up.
It varies from year to year and what the projects are, but roughly this past winter, just with plowing and sanding and shoveling services, we serviced, I think it was 28 just this winter. That's not any other services which we also may get requests for.
Thank you. Well, I'll allow you a follow-up, Mr. Jobin.
I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that the fund does get used and go towards what it's supposed to. So it's a good thing we should keep putting money into. I just want to make sure people know it.
Thank you. Further discussion on Article 18. Seeing none, all those in favor of the article as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 18. Article 19, shall the voters discontinue the James Cusick Scholarship Fund with the balance being expended for the 2022-23 school year? Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Dunkley.
I move that the voters discontinue the James Cusick Scholarship Fund with the balance being expended for the 2022-2023 school year.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, the voters discontinue the James Cusick Scholarship Fund with the balance being expended for the 2022-23 school year. Mr. Dunkley, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No.
There is someone who wishes to speak to the motion. Please come forward and state your name.
Norma Manning, I have one question, possibly two, if that's okay.
Okay,
Right.
please ask your question. We'll find somebody to answer.
What exactly is the burden on the town for keeping this scholarship fund open?
The select board is queried. Mrs. Harris.
Funding it.
So there's no cost for us to leave it open, or is there a minimum requirement to keep in the fund?
No, I don't believe so.
This is actually my second question, if
Please
that's
do.
okay. All right. So what is the avenue for someone to make a donation or bequeath upon their demise, or any type of donation to the town on the benefit for scholarship, if this is eliminated, other than the one that's specifically earmarked for medical or nursing?
They could donate, if the fund is still in existence, they could donate to it or stipulate so.
So if we close this fund today, someone who wishes to donate to it in the future, or if the town improves its financial situation, there will be no avenue for someone to donate for college scholarship funds?
No, they
Thank
could
you.
still donate. That's why you got the Alice Marsh Fund and the others. You just donate to the town, and the purpose of your donation is, you specify what it is.
Is there another question? Thank you. So what is the reasoning for closing this fund if it's not posing a burden to the town?
Board is queried again. Mrs. Harris?
Well, there wasn't that much money left, and so rather than just leave it on the books, you don't have to close it out. It's up to the town.
Further discussion on Article 19. Seeing none, again, the motion is that the voters discontinue the James Cusick Scholarship Fund with the balance being expended for the 2022-23 school year. All those in favor of the article as read, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The nays appear to have it. The nays have it. You've defeated Article 19. Article 20. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $40,000 to be raised by taxes for the previously established Town of Vernon James Cusick Scholarship Fund, the funds to be distributed in accordance with Vernon scholarship requirements? Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Dunkley.
I move that the voters appropriate $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established James Cusick Scholarship Fund.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded that the voters appropriate $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established James Cusick Scholarship Fund. Mr. Dunkley, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No.
Further discussion on Article 20. In the middle of the room, come on up, Mr. Pond. I got to say, the shading kind of blocks out people's faces, so I can't really see who you are until you step up.
No, you're a senior and you can't see.
I can't see, I can't hear. You got it. Welcome to 65. Go ahead.
So my question is, and I'm glad we didn't close this, because colleges get expensive, and if there's a student that deserves to have it, that's one thing. But $40,000, that'll give us $44,000 and change. Now, per student that applies for this is granted this scholarship, how many monies do they get per student?
Mrs. Turnley is recognized to answer your question, Mr. Pond.
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. Usually in the past it's been $1,000 per student, as long as they completed the whole year. If they did half year, they got half of that, and so forth.
Okay, that's reasonable. Thank you.
Further discussion on Article number 20. In the middle of the room, come on up.
Jesse Jobin.
Thank you.
So my question, I guess, would be, can I amend this to be for 20,000 instead of the 40, knowing that we're, I heard a lot of people grumbling behind me, some to the left, some to the right. Just thinking maybe if we can find a happy medium, 20 grand.
If you wish to make that amendment.
Yes.
It has been moved and seconded that the item on Article number 20 be $20,000 instead of $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established James Cusick Scholarship Fund. Do you wish to speak further, Mr. Jobin?
I do.
Please do.
So my issue, I guess, is that I look at our school, awesome school, and I see the amount of students that are in the school now, and it's less than half of what it was when I was in school here, and I know that it was even more than that prior to me being in elementary school. So knowing that my son's kindergarten class is going to have between 9 and 10 per classroom, I don't see the future need, I guess, for as much money to be going to the fund.
Further discussion on the Jobin amendment. There is a card way back there that looks like Mr. Brzezinski. And by the way, thanks to COVID, I'm waiting now 9 months for cataract surgery.
Don Brzezinski. I guess the question I have is what's the difference between the James Cusick Scholarship Fund and the Town of Vernon James Cusick Scholarship Fund? What's the difference?
I believe that is the same thing, but I will have the board answer that. Mrs. Harris? It is the same thing.
So had we voted to pass Article 19, we would not be voting on this article now?
Correct. That would be correct.
That was my question. Thank you.
Further discussion on the Jobin amendment to Article number 20. Over here. Thank you. And please have your question interpreted so the entire audience can hear, and I will use the microphone here to have you mention that. Go ahead.
Oh, so you want me to stay here? Just from there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Hi, my name is Nick Lillian. So I have a question about the James Cusick scholarship. When it was set up, how many years has it been set up for? And how often do people apply for that scholarship?
Thank you. The select board and or the town treasurer is queried.
I don't remember when it was set up. About 40 years, at least 40 years ago.
And once a year.
And what was the second question?
How often do they?
Okay, and they have to apply every year.
Once a year.
So it's over 40 years. Did everybody hear me? No. Okay, it's over 40 years, and they have to apply every year. You still can't hear me?
I can hear you through that. Let's try this.
It's over 40 years.
Yeah, there you go. Don't be afraid.
It's over 40 years, and they have to apply every year.
Go ahead.
Thank you for that. I think, it should definitely keep going because it's already been going for 40 years. Thank you for clarifying. But how many students apply for it every year? Like, is it 10 students, 20 students, 30 students? How's it used?
It differs.
The town treasurer can answer that as well. I'll have Mrs. Turnley and then Mrs. Harris respond.
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. We've had anywhere from 25 up to 32 people apply. It depends on, they can only do it for 4 years total, and it has to be within 6 years of graduating from high school.
Further questions on Article number 20, the amendment to the article? Right over here, Mr. Hicks.
Jesse Jobin.
Nice. Not hardly.
I'll amend that to Munson Hicks. I would hate to see the amount lowered from 40 to 20. If we are hopeful that our town will continue to grow and our schools will continue to have more people, then I think it's important that we say that we see the future as something where we will be able to give more people an opportunity rather than cut back on the possibility.
Thank you. Further discussion on the Jobin amendment. Mr. Jobin will recognize you for a second time, sir.
Munson Hicks.
Really?
Walking through the halls in the school over the last couple of years, my daughter's getting ready to graduate 6th grade. My son's just going into kindergarten. There's nothing saying that we can't put more money in 10, 15 years from now, maybe if the town starts to come back. But from where I stand, the kids aren't here. Why are we going to keep putting money into something that really doesn't need it? I mean, it may need it, but it doesn't. Right. Thank you.
Further discussion on the Jobin amendment, Mr. Pond.
I'm just going to be myself, George Pond.
Thank you, George.
I was wondering I'm hearing what Jesse is saying, and I'm wondering, in the high school system from Vernon, because the kids here have choice of school, that's why we're not in that district thing anymore, so they can have that privilege. How many seniors this year and how many juniors this year that will be seniors next year that might apply for this? Does anybody know? Is there anybody here from the school board that knows that?
Mrs. Emadon, the school board chair, is in the audience, and she is queried if she so chooses. And it's really uncharacteristic for you to be so silent.
Carrie Amadon. I know the town report says that there are 76 students at BUHS. If we tried to do the math and say half of them could be juniors or seniors, that's the best I can do. I don't have an actual count of exactly where all the kids are. Does an estimate help?
Thank you. Further discussion, Mr. Pond, I'll allow you a follow-up.
Whether Mr. Jobin's amendment gets passed or whether it doesn't, we're voting on the First Amendment is like 20,000. The original is 40,000. But if we have 50 kids that apply, there's not enough money. So I would like to throw it out there that, you know, maybe it shouldn't be set dollar amount. Maybe it should be adjusted according to how many kids apply instead of, you know, hey, if we have 50, maybe they'll only get $500. But $500 is better than nothing. Or was the fund set up specifically for $1,000?
Mrs. Turnley will respond to your query. Mrs. Turnley.
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. What happens if we had $20,000 and 25 kids applied and were accepted? We divide 25 into 20,000 and that's what they get. It's not, they can get up to 1,000 if the money's there. If not, they get whatever. And the other part of that is we don't know if there's 50 kids that all of them are going to go on to college either. We don't know at the time that we do this meeting who's going to apply. So we have no way of knowing how much to ask for if you base it on how many people apply.
Any further discussion on the Jobin amendment? You can't call the question unless you come up to be recognized, and there is one other person who wishes to speak on the matter. Please come forward.
Heather Frost, I'd like to call the question.
That was the right way to do it. Thank you. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We cease debate. We need a 2/3 vote. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. We go to a vote on the question on the amendment from Mr. Jobin that the bottom line to appropriate money to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established James Cusick Scholarship Fund be set at $20,000. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The nays appear to have it. The nays have it. The amendment is defeated. We go back to the main motion, which is that the voters appropriate $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established James Cusick Scholarship Fund. Yeah, brain cramp here. Ms. Jobin, please come forward.
Faith Jobin, can we call the vote? Call the question?
Yes, you can. Question has been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We cease debate on the article. All those in favor of ceasing debate, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay.
No.
2/3 majority is apparent. A two-thirds majority is the case. We have ceased debate on the article. The motion is that the voters appropriate $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established James Cusick Scholarship Fund. All those in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The chair is in doubt. All those in favor, please raise your hands, and the BCA members should come count. Okay, put your hands down, all those against the motion. Please raise your voter cards. Listen now to the results of your vote on Article number 20. Those voting yes, 51. Those voting no, 17. I declare Article 20 has been passed as presented. We move to Article 21. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $195,385 for the funding of items approved in the capital plan, of which $195,385 is to be raised by taxes? Do we have a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Dunkley.
I move that the voters appropriate $195,385 for the funding of items approved in the capital plan, of which $195,385 is to be raised by taxes.
Do we have a second? Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate $195,385 for the funding of items approved in the capital plan, of which $195,385 is to be raised by taxes. Mr. Dunkley, do you wish to speak to your motion?
No. I would defer to Cat Baldwin of the Capital Committee.
Cat Baldwin of the Capital Committee will be queried if you so choose, or do you wish to speak at this point? That would be your option.
Catherine Baldwin. I'm here to answer questions, if anyone were to have them.
Thank you. I do see a couple of questions already, and we will recognize Ms. Tuck Sauer first.
My question is, why is there no funds already there for the capital plan?
Ms. Baldwin, and we can also ask the treasurer to respond as well if you'd like.
I'll try.
Okay, so we'll start with you and then go to Mrs. Turnley.
So in previous years, we were able to earn most of the capital fund through interest and gains and income from the ER Capital Reserve Fund. But evidently this year, we only were able to raise $294, as it shows in the projections, in interest and gains, and we didn't earn any income on the Capital Reserve Fund. Therefore, we have to raise all of the capital plan reserves through taxes.
Mrs. Turnley.
I have Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. I have two things. First of all, the article is not the fund figure is not correct. Part of appropriating the funds, it should be 212,201, and to be raised by taxes, that figure is correct.
So is somebody going to request an amendment?
Do I make that an amendment?
Yes, you should make that an amendment.
Okay, I so amend.
So the amendment by Mrs. Turnley, let me read this and see if I'm right, that the voters raise and appropriate a sum of $212,201 for the funding of items in the capital plan, of which $195,385 is to be raised by taxes.
That's correct.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Further discussion on the Turnley amendment.
When do you want me to speak about the money? After the amendment?
I think it's appropriate you can speak about the money in whole or in part, either on the article or on the amendment. So please go ahead.
Okay, the town has money invested in our emergency capital plan or fund. And that money, any money that is income that comes in from that, is to be used to offset what we need to raise in the capital plan. Unfortunately, we lost money last year, so there was no money to offset for the capital plan from the emergency capital fund.
Thank you. Further questions or discussion on the amendment to Article 21, Ms. Tuck-Sauer?
When you say that we lost money, was there equipment sold, and that equipment, the proceeds from that equipment wasn't put into the capital fund, or are you talking about the fund and you invested the money and we lost that money? So you're investing money from a capital plan that is supposed to be going to do repairs and infrastructure. What can you explain to all of us what you're talking about?
Mrs. Turnley.
Cindy Turnley. Yes, I can. The money is invested with Edward Jones, and that was a decision made many years ago to help take the money that we had and grow it. And unfortunately, last year that did not happen, probably, I would think, mostly because of the COVID situation. But last year we did not see any gains, we saw losses. And so that's why there is no money to offset the capital plan this year.
Further discussion on the amendment to Article 21. Seeing none, the amendment reads that the voters appropriate the sum of $212,201 for the funding of items approved in the capital plan, of which $195,385 is to be raised by taxes. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The amendment has been made, and the article as amended is that voters appropriate the sum of $212,201 for the funding of items approved in the capital plan, of which $195,385 is to be raised by taxes. All those in favor of Article 21 as amended, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 21 has been passed. Article 22. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $14,518 to be raised by taxes for the Wyndham Solid Waste District assessment to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Dunkley.
I move that the voters appropriate $14,518 for the Wyndham Solid Waste District assessment to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate $14,518 for the Wyndham Solid Waste District assessment to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste Fund. Mr. Dunkley, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes.
Please do.
As a member of the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District, the town is assessed an annual fee, which in fiscal year 2022 will be $14,518. This cost has remained the same as last year. The town is obligated to pay this annual assessment unless it officially withdraws from the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District, which will take 2 years in accordance with the charter from the state of Vermont. Due to significant state mandates, particularly providing 2 household hazardous waste collection events per year, most towns decide to remain members of the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District rather than to provide the mandated services on their own.
Thank you. Further discussion on Article 22? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 22 as read, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You've passed Article 22. Article 23, shall the town continue to provide curbside trash collection known as pay-as-you-throw? Is there a motion here?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Garino.
I move that the town continue the pay-as-you-throw program for residential trash collection.
Is there a second? Second. Motion is that the town continue the pay-as-you-throw program for residential trash collection. Mr. Garino, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I do not.
Discussion on Article 23. In the back of the tent area, come on up.
My name is David Baldwin, and for 8 years now, we've been milling around smartly on this program. 2 years, we've showed an improvement. 6 years, and I would only count 5 years because the first year, you got to expect to lose money. But for 5 years, we are losing. We've got to figure out a new way to take care of this problem. We just passed going to the last article, and we should be getting more information from them on what is happening in the rest of the state. Thank you.
Further discussion on Article 23. Seeing none, we're going to move for a vote. Again, the motion is that the town continue the pay-as-you-throw program for residential trash collection. All those in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The chair is in doubt. The division of the House, all those in favor of the article, please raise your voter cards. Okay, put your cards down. Those opposed, raise your voter cards. Put your cards down. Listen now to the results of your vote. on Article 23 that the town continue the pay-as-you-throw program for residential trash collection. Voting yes, 51. Voting no, 11. I declare Article 23 has passed. Article 24. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $29,689.23 to be raised by taxes to fund the current pay-as-you-throw deficit? Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Guarino.
I move that the voters appropriate $29,689.23 to be raised by taxes to fund the current pay-as-you-throw deficit.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate $29,689.23 to be raised by taxes to fund the current pay-as-you-throw deficit. Mr. Guarino, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I do.
Please do.
Mr. Baldwin just brought up a comment of the years that this thing lost money and the years that it's broken even or made a little money. The truth of the matter is that the deficit, after the first year when the town made some expenditure to set up the program, it was going to run in the deficit. The deficit should have been made up in year 2 to make the fund whole to start, to get the thing off the ground and start. Therefore, this deficit wouldn't be continuing every year, and I believe that it would be breaking even or showing a small enhancement each year. The town didn't, in my opinion, take care of its responsibility the second year of the fund to make up the deficit for the expenditure made on the first year. Had it done that, we wouldn't be coming back every year to make up the deficit and having the discussion on whether the thing is making money or not. We really don't know. Until that deficit is made up, we're not going to know if the thing is a money neutral, money loser, or money maker.
Further discussion on the article, Ms. Tuck-Sauer.
I would like to make an amendment.
Please do.
I would like to make an amendment that the amount of $29,689.23 be made by the 51 people that voted to make the pay-as-you-throw program, because people on Basin Mountain have found a solution for our trash and recycling, and we would like the other trash trucks to no longer be driving down our road.
I'm going to rule that motion out of order, but I appreciate the sentiment.
I would like to ask why that would be out of order.
Because that is doing something that is not specific to the motion. You can vote that number up or down, raise or reduce the number, but you can't direct the number to do a specific thing. And if you'd like, you can move that you challenge the moderator's ruling.
I'd like to challenge the moderator's ruling.
Is there a second on that? Second. All those in favor of the moderator's ruling, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay.
No.
I believe the ayes have it. Further discussion on Article 23. Make that Article 24, excuse me. Over there. Over there. Over here. Thank you. Come on up.
Heather Frost. I would just like to remind people that this could be a self-sustaining service, and that when you purchase a bag, you are not buying a plastic bag. You are purchasing a service. And you are going to purchase a service whether you have it this way, or you have a private hauler, or you bring it to the solid waste district. So if you just remember, it could be self-sustaining if, when you purchase a bag, you're purchasing a service.
Further discussion over here?
Don Rosinski. I think the select board chair had kind of put it out there as what it was. In the beginning of this whole thing, we obviously over-purchased bags. There was no question about it. We must have thought, well, more is better. And I've said this before at other of these discussions, and if we don't get overburdened with inventory, this should be a self-sustaining operation. That being said, it apparently has not been. And I don't know what the actual deficit amount is at this time. Could somebody tell me what that is?
The town treasurer is queried. We'll have an answer for you in a moment. Mrs. Turnley.
Cindy Turnley, town treasurer. Unfortunately, because we started with a deficit and we've had to purchase bags since then, supplies since then, our deficit as of the end of this month is $59,570.93.
So this relates back to what I was saying about top-heavy in our inventory. Whether we had to actually purchase bags, yes.
Mrs. Turnley.
Yes, we did. When we first started the program, there was a minimum number of cases that we were to buy. We also gave away, every household got a free trash bag and a free recycle bin. And so that's where we started, and then we've had to purchase bags over the years as they're sold. The other thing is that in order to try to get rid of the deficit, there was a decision made to raise the price of the trash bags. Unfortunately, many people decided, or not many, but some people decided that they were going to go another route. They got dumpsters or they took care of it themselves. So our number of people buying bags went down as well. So that's how we got to where we are today.
So basically, we're in the red by $50,000 or so dollars.
59,000.
Yeah, I don't know how that'll be able to be made up, but I also know that this whole system, our recyclable collection is tied into this whole thing, if I'm not mistaken. So if we don't have this, then what do you do with the recyclables? Because it's all tied together. So it's kind of a catch-22. I don't know if it's time to bite the bullet, and if we're going to keep this plan going, pay that debt off. That's kind of taking a hell of a big bite. But this has been going on as long as I've lived in town since this started. It's been right from the get-go. It never did its thing in the beginning, and I blame it basically because I think we overbought. When I was on the pay-as-you-throw committee, I believe that was what happened. And we got behind the 8 ball there, but we're not getting out of it now, and I don't see it happening in the not with $59,000 in the red. So I just question whether or not, is it time to do something and get rid of it once and for all? Because we can't get rid of this program. We do that, we got no recyclables. I mean, we used to have the dumpsters and stuff. I won't say what happened there, but that was a fiasco. They should still be there today, in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. At this point, we've got to deal with this and stop having it come back over and over and over again. It's not going to get any cheaper. Thank you.
Further discussion on the article, Ms. Jobin, and there are 2 others who wish to speak after her. Yes, you can. Ms. Baldwin, please come on up.
Catherine Baldwin. Catherine Baldwin. I believe it's my understanding that the law says any trash provider that you pay for, even privately, has to provide recycling service. Can anyone speak to that? So if we all went and got our own provider, they would have to still provide recycling by state law,
The
I believe.
select board is queried.
Or anyone else
Or anybody
who
else
can
here.
speak to that?
Heather, could you come forward and answer that question? And then after that, we'll go to Mr. Hicks.
It's my understanding that a trash hauler, if you hire someone to pick up your trash, they must offer you the service of a recycling service also, but you can decline that service, but they have to offer it. That,
Thank you. Do you wish to follow up before? Okay.
So if we got rid of this program, everyone would still have recycling options, is what I'm hearing. So it wouldn't do away with recycling if we didn't have pay as you throw, is how I'm understanding that. Okay.
Please use microphones. Again, we're on BCTV, streaming live, and we want to make sure that all of our citizens have access to this information.
Heather Frost, private pickup and municipality might be different in the laws of what happens.
Thank you. Mr. Hicks.
Munson Hicks. I think there's a little misconception about inventory. The problem with inventory is not that it costs too much, is that we haven't sold it yet. A piece of your bag costs us $1 or 50 cents or something like that. It sits there until it's bought at $5. Now we have $4.50 to play with. Because it's still sitting there, it appears to be a deficit, but we are actually paying it forward. And when people buy them and when the collection happens, then that money becomes a profit. Hopefully, but it certainly reduces the deficit. The deficit is really kind of fake because of the nature of paying it forward, of buying in anticipation. If you buy your oil in anticipation of cold weather, if you bought it for $100 and then you had only got $3, that would be a loss. If you go the other way, if you bought it for $3 and then later you spent $100 worth of your oil, you've made a profit. So that's how the inventory works against the deficit.
Ms. Jobin, have you spoken already on this one? No, I have not. Okay, come on forward. There's somebody else at the back of the tent with a voter card up. We'll talk to have you come up afterwards.
Faith Jobin, I have two-part question. My question is, what happened to the lost inventory of the bags 2 years ago, and how many bags were lost?
The select board or the treasurer is queried. Go ahead, Mrs. Turnley.
14 cases of large trash bags disappeared out of our inventory. That I know of, it's still under investigation through the Sheriff's Department, but we have never found out what happened, and we're still missing the 14 cases.
You may follow up.
Thank you. 14 cases in a locked building?
Correct.
I don't want to finish. That I would have.
Now, the back of the tent, there's somebody with a voter card up. That's you. Come on up.
Kristen Dietrich. This question goes back to trash collection pickup versus recycling pickup. In Article 26, it says the town could continue to provide curbside recycling without curbside trash collection. However, the town is not allowed to provide curbside trash collection without curbside recycling. So is that, we could dissolve pay-as-you-throw, there'd be no trash pickup, but the town could still provide curbside recycling?
The select board is queried. Mr. Guarino.
Yes, but remember that would have a cost. Okay, just so it wouldn't be an appropriation such as this. It would end up being in your, I would think it would end up being in your regular line item budget as an expenditure this year that would not have any possibility to be offset.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
One follow-up, please.
Oh, sorry.
Mrs. Turnley.
Thank you, Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. Currently, the curbside recycling and the municipal trash pickup comes out of our solid waste fund. It's not out of a line item out of the select board's budget. It comes out of a fund.
Okay, your follow-up?
Okay, I might have two now, sorry. So could we continue to appropriate for the recycling without appropriating for trash pickup?
Mrs. Turnley.
They've already passed the article to keep the pay-as-you-throw fund, and we don't put any money in. Well, they're asking for the deficit, but normally, and if everything was the way it should be, that it would pay for the trash pickup would pay for itself. So we wouldn't have to come every year and ask for money. Because when you sell the trash bags, that pays for the pickup of the trash.
So is the appropriation then paying for the curbside recycling?
Not through the solid waste fund, not through pay-as-you-throw. The money they're talking about, the 29,000.
Yes.
That is to make up for the deficit we're in now because of all of the money that went out to start the program up and to keep it going.
Okay, thank you, I understand now.
Okay.
Further discussion on Article 24. Okay, Mr. Jobin, I can see you now.
Munson Hicks.
Sure.
So if we take the 29,689 and make it a zero, the price of the bags goes up?
No.
No?
No, that would be entirely up to the select board to decide what they wanted to do. If we don't take care of the deficit will continue.
Right, so what is the board going to do if we vote no on this?
I don't know. You'll have to inquire into the
sorry,
board.
I'm looking at all of them.
The board is queried, Mrs. Harris, if you so choose.
I guess my concern is I pay for a dumpster, my tenants share it, my mother shares it, a couple of friends come by and use it. Costs me $90 a month. So I'm paying for quite a few people in town to use my dumpster. I know there's a dumpster up on Basin Road that gets used by a bunch of people in the community up there. And they figured out a way to split it and make it work so that everybody's figured that it costs them $15, $20 a month. So I guess for me to keep paying for everybody else's trash collection in town, it doesn't make sense. So I was just looking for clarification on how we were going to fix this if we voted no.
Mrs. Harris?
I don't know, but I know that we've got to do something about this deficit.
Please speak up.
We need to do something about the deficit. I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll have to take care of it some way.
Is part of this figured in from the missing bags?
Cindy would have to answer that.
She just shook her head no behind you.
No, it's not. Thank you.
Okay. No, I was just curious if we had to make up for that still somewhere, if it had already been taken care of last year or a different year anyway. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator?
Mr. Guarino.
I move the question.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded that the debate be ceased on Article 24. All those in favor of ceasing debate, this takes a 2/3. Please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Debate has been ceased. The question is that the voters appropriate $29,689.23 to be raised by taxes to fund the current pay-as-you-throw deficit. All those in favor of Article 24 as read, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 24 has been passed. We go to Article 25. Now, I'm going to read it as the article is read, and perhaps a motioner can clarify here. If the town votes no on Article 23, shall the voters authorize the town to dissolve the pay-as-you-throw fund? What?
It is 23.
It is 23.
It says 21, that is incorrect.
It says 21 on the yellow sheet. I have it differently here, so I'm reading it as it says. If we can clarify all that, and I'm allowed to read the article first, we'll go from there. Thank you. Okay, it says, if the town votes no on Article 23, shall the voters authorize the town to dissolve the pay-as-you-throw fund and cover the negative expenditure from the solid waste fund up to $70,000. If the town votes to discontinue the trash and recycling collection, the pay-as-you-throw fund will no longer be needed. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Guarino.
I move that the town pass over this article.
Moved and seconded that the town pass over, or in legal terms, object to consideration of Article 25. All those in favor of the article, it takes a 2/3. Please, all in favor of the motion, it takes a 2/3. Please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. You have objected to consideration of Article 25. Article 26. Shall the town continue curbside recycling if pay-as-you-throw is considered, or discontinued, excuse me? The town could continue to provide curbside recycling without curbside trash collection. However, the town is not allowed to provide curbside trash collection without curbside recycling in accordance with Vermont Act 148 Universal Recycle Law. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Guarino.
I move that the town pass over this article.
Is there a second? Move that the town pass over or object to consideration of Article 26. All those in favor of Mr. Guarino's motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. We've objected to consideration of Article 26. Article 27, shall the voters appropriate funding for curbside recycling and municipal building trash collection to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund. If the town votes to continue curbside recycling, the estimated annual cost will be $108,000 and $6,985 for municipal building refuse collection. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Guarino.
I move that the voters appropriate $108,000 for curbside recycling and $6,985 to be raised by taxes for municipal refuse collection.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded, voters appropriate $108,000 for curbside recycling and $6,985 to be raised by taxes for municipal refuse collection. Mr. Guarino, do you wish to speak to your motion?
No.
Discussion on Article 27. Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 27 as read, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You've passed Article 27. Article 28. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $7,100 to be raised by taxes to support the following human service organizations? Senior Solutions of Southeast Vermont in the amount of $1,000. The Gathering Place in the amount of $750. Southeast Community Action in the amount of $2,100. And the Vermont, New Hampshire Visiting Nurse and Hospice in the amount of $3,250. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Root.
I move that the voters appropriate the sum of $7,100 to be raised by taxes to support the following: Senior Solutions for the amount of $1,000, the gathering place for $750, Sevka for $2,100, and the visiting nurse and hospice for Vermont, New Hampshire for $3,000.
That's $3,250.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second on the motion? Second. Moved and seconded. The voters appropriate a sum of $7,100 to be raised by taxes to support the following: Senior Solutions for the amount of $1,000, the Gathering Place for $750, Sevka for $2,100, and Visiting Nurse and Hospice of Vermont and New Hampshire for $3,250. Mr. Root, do you wish to speak to your motion?
No, sir.
Discussion on Article 28. Middle of the room, Ms. Jobin.
Faith Jobin, I know Cindy's probably going to say it's only 2 or 3 cents on a dollar, but a lot of money has been raised for my taxes already. I should be able to decide myself where I want my dollars to go. I don't think they should come out of my taxes, so I would like to say no to this amendment, or excuse me, this article.
Further discussion on Article number 28. I can't see. Oh, Mr. Turnley.
Kevin Turnley. I can't speak to all the organizations on this, and I know it's been a kind of a bone of contention for most voters that you should be able to pick what you want to donate to, and you don't want your tax dollars to go to this. What I just want to say is I had visiting nurses after my incident, and they came in and they did a lot of work with me, changing dressings, bandages, my PICC line, and they did a lot of work. And it's also my tax dollars that are going to this. And as a resident of Vernon, I wouldn't wish that anybody in this town would have to use this, but I would gladly give a little bit of my tax money so that if somebody is in an unfortunate situation where they need these organizations, there's some money there. And with the work that they do and the care that they give, I'm totally supporting this this article. We talk about neighbor and neighbor. I would gladly do this for any of my neighbors, anybody in the town of Vernon. Thank you.
Further discussion on Article number 28. Seeing none, the motion is that the voters appropriate a sum of $7,100 to be raised by taxes to support the following. Oh, I can see you now, Ms. Jobin. I need you to come up because I know.
I've got a birthday in a couple days. I'll be 60. Woohoo! Faith Jobin, can we do it by paper ballot?
If 6 other people stand and support you, that would be the case. We need a total of 7 people to stand and say they support a paper ballot. I see 4, 5, 6, 7. It'll be by paper ballot. So here's what we'll do. You should take your voter cards, and Corinne, get set to hand out those paper ballots that were drawn up when people come by with their voter cards. So go by the clerk's table, and they already have them. Well, I don't. So I did sign in, sir. So then mark your ballot and drop it in the ballot box. Should be the empty box that you can use for a ballot box, and we'll have the BCA count the ballots. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not done. No, not those. Not those. Hold on. Hold on, I was trying to figure this out. Point of order, Mr. Hicks.
These ballots you're passing out are broken up individually. With this article, it's not broken up individually. So we should, if we're voting on the article, we have to vote all or nothing.
What is the body's pleasure? Do you wish to vote all or nothing or by agency? All or nothing? Then use your yes or no card. Sorry for the confusion, but take your yes or no card and fill it out. We're already voting. So please vote, and the BCA will count the votes. Has everyone voted? Okay, if everyone has not voted, 1 minute before the polls close. Thank you. Polls are closed. We're in recess till the votes are counted. Let's get back to it. The meeting is back in order. Listen now to the results of your vote on Article 28. Voting yes, 50. Voting no, 14. I declare the article has passed. Article 29. Shall the voters appropriate a sum of $15,000 to be raised by taxes for the operation of the Emergency Management Office? Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Root.
I move that the voters appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be raised by taxes for the operation of the Emergency Management Office.
Do we have a second? Moved and seconded, voters appropriate a sum of $15,000 to be raised by taxes for the operation of the Emergency Management Office. Do you wish to speak to your motion or defer to someone?
I defer to the Emergency Management Director, David Emery.
Mr. Emery, you're recognized.
Sorry, but I'm going to turn my back to you all so I can speak to them. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Emery. I'm the Emergency Management Director, and I, along with all of you, certainly have had a year of changes and challenges, not only with COVID, but throughout the whole world is in a little bit of unrest as we speak. However, emergency management for the town of Vernon still continues to do what we've done in the past. Vermont Yankee is certainly still a concern, but I'm happy to tell you that they are moving very well. Their buildings are coming down, even though you don't happen to see that, but you probably see some of the train leaving here by rail. They are on target for complete demolition. Things are very well. They're a good company that's in there. COVID has taken a lot of the time. On my behalf, we still meet regularly with the state health department and emergency management group. And I don't know if I reported to you before, but the whole state has changed into districts where they're now incorporating fire departments and emergency management directors into districts, which is this district, or Windham County, did that before. And what's really good to say is that we were the ones that set it up, so the whole state's now doing it. So it actually works very, very well. So along with that, again, COVID hasn't gone away. And it's pretty safe to say that it's not going to go away. And if you've watched the select board's meetings, they invite me to their meetings to keep them up to date. And the latest is deaths are still going up, but they're not as much as they were. Whether you're anti-vaxxer or a vaxxer, it's okay however you want to do that, but the vaccinations have been proven to be effective. And it goes down to, well, you can say what you want, but do the research. So I'm not going to argue whether they're good or bad. So that's not my point here. My point here is to share what's the information that's out there. So having said that, the vaccinations go all the way down to 5-year-olds. And probably what you're going to continue to see is the ability to have boosters for the rest of your life, as you see with the flu shots. Also along that same, or not on that same note, one of the best ways for you all to be notified of impending bad weather is Vermont Alert. If you haven't signed up for VT Alert, take the time to do that. You can go on your computer, it'll come on your phone, it'll come to your telephone. It can be used for numerous things that not only weather, but any emergencies in the state of Vermont. So for instance, if there's an emergency, a rail emergency, or a truck crash on any road in Vernon, they can specifically notify people in that immediate area. So with that, again, the last thing I would say is that because we haven't been able to get together, the emergency management group has been, I don't want to say non-existent, but we haven't been able to get together and reform. That is still the plan, and it's still in the plan for us to leave the Edson House and move to the town hall once they get an emergency generator situated in that building. Any questions that I can answer for you? Oh.
Go ahead, Mr. Jobin. Come on up.
I like to keep my back to everybody. Jesse Jobin. My question is, it's my belief that you receive a stipend, yes?
Yes.
And how many hours per month do you work?
Yes.
Yeah, I know you work a lot, so I'm trying to make a point.
Okay, I'm putting in about 10 hours a week.
Okay, so 40 hours a month. And how much is your stipend, if you don't mind? I can't.
$5,000 a year.
And how much is our fire chief's stipend, and how many hours does he put in?
I believe his is the same. I don't know.
I was just curious because I know that in years past, the stipend has been nowhere near enough to cover what we're paying for our fire chief and our assistant chief, but yet our emergency management director, and no fault to you, I know you put in your time, trying to figure out why we're not paying them more. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on Article number 29, Mr. Emery.
I would say you're absolutely right, but you're talking to the wrong guy here. You know, if you want to support the fire department, you should be doing that, and probably brought it up under something. But it's anything else?
Further discussion on Article 29, Ms. Tuxauer. Please, if you could spin around, I'm trying to.
I'm going to be really nice this time. I just wanted to know when you were going to be able to get your generator and how that's going to be funded, because I know that's really important for you and your department.
Mr. Emery.
Actually, the generator is for the town hall, and so I would have to turn that to the select board, and I know that they're working on that ability, because you can't do just the emergency management office up there. The whole building needs to be done in its entirety. And I say that for one quick, easy reasons. We could put electric outlets into the emergency management office, but you wouldn't have lights, water, or sewer throughout the rest of the building. So the whole building's got to be done.
Further discussion on Article 29. Seeing none, the motion is that the, I cannot see. Right there? Where? Okay. All right. Mr. Wielden.
John Wielden. 2 questions. The budget that for $15,000, is that part of the stipend? Yes. I want to make a motion to raise the amount to $25,000 to support a better stipend for the emergency management director, who's done an outstanding job the last 2 years, especially with COVID going on.
Moved and seconded that the amount under Article 29 be increased to $25,000. Mr. Emery.
I certainly appreciate that, but I wish you made it $50,000. So I would, thank you. I would respectfully decline. I appreciate that offer. And I feel that the stipend that I'm getting now is covering to fill my lawnmower with the gas. But I don't think it's, I would rather see it go, as Mr. Jobin said, if you're going to do that, to support fire officers in that side. But thank you, Mr. Wielden.
Further discussion on the Wielden amendment. Seeing none, the amendment would be for the bottom line under Article 29 to be increased to $25,000. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Those nay. Nay. The nays appear to have it. The nays have it. And we go back to the main motion that the voters appropriate $15,000 to be raised by taxes for operation of the Emergency Management Office. Further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the article as read, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and you have passed Article 29. Article 30. Shall the voters authorize payment of real and personal property taxes to the town treasurer in 3 installments, the due dates being September 15th, 2022, January 12th, 2023, and May 4th, 2023. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Root.
I move that the voters authorize payment of real and personal property taxes to the town treasurer in 3 installments, with due dates being September 15th, 2022, January 12th, 2023, and May 4th, 2023.
Moved and seconded, the voters authorize payment of real and personal property taxes to the town treasurer in 3 installments, with due dates being September 15th, 2022, January 12th, 2023, and May 4th of 2023. Do you wish to discuss your motion, Mr. Root?
No, sir.
Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, the motion is that voters authorize payment of real and personal property taxes to the town treasurer in 3 installments, with due dates being September 15th, 2022, January 12th, 2023, and May 4th, 2023. All those in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You've passed Article number 30. Article 31, shall the voters approve the provision of notice of availability of the town report and auditor's report by postcard mailed to all registered voters at least 30 days prior to town meeting, in lieu of mailing or otherwise distributing the town report and auditor's report as authorized by Vermont law and 24 VSA subsection 1682A2. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mrs. Harris.
I move that the voters approve the provision of notice of availability of the town report and auditor's report by postcard mailed to all registered voters at least 30 days prior to town meeting, in lieu of mailing or otherwise distributing the town report, and that the auditor's report as authorized by Vermont law and 24 VSA section 1682A2.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded that the voters approve the provision of notice of availability of the town report and auditor's report by postcard and mailed to all registered voters at least 30 days prior to town meeting, in lieu of mailing or otherwise distributing the town report and auditor's report as authorized by Vermont law and 24 VSA section 1682A2. Do you wish to discuss your motion, Mrs. Harris? No. Discussion on the motion, Ms. Jobin.
I'm wondering if we're going to have town meeting again in May, or if we're going to go back to March. You hope March or not March?
The board is queried?
We hope March.
Okay, so that means that they would come out like in February? Like, no, January?
At least 30 days prior as written.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Further discussion on Article 31. Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 31 as read, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 31 has been passed. Article 32. Shall the voters authorize the formation of a conservation commission with powers and duties outlined by Vermont statutes Title 24, Chapter 18, Sections 4501 in sequence. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Please, Mr. Root.
I move that the voters authorize the formation of a conservation committee in accordance with the Vermont statute Title 24, Chapter 118, Section 4501, with membership in compliance with Section 4502 A and B, without limiting the powers and duties outlined by Section 4505.
Is there a second? The motion is that the voters authorize formation of a conservation commission in accordance with Vermont statutes Title 24, Chapter 118, Section 4501, with membership in compliance with Section 4502 A and B, and without limiting the powers and duties outlined by Section 4505. Mr. Root, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I defer to the Conservation Committee.
The Conservation Committee, and I believe Mrs. Manning would be the...
Don Rosinski's going to speak on our behalf.
Oh, Mr. Rosinski, then. I am not able to...
I know, you can't see, you can't hear. You're having trouble talking, you understand.
Yeah. Other than that, my obit hasn't been misprinted in the Reformer.
Yet.
Mr. Rosinski.
Thank you. Name's Don Rosinski. I'm a member of the Conservation committee at this point in time. It's a committee. We're seeking commission status, and there's several reasons for this. First off, our mission statement is to advise, foster, and sustain community-wide vision that Vernon's natural and cultural resources are an integral part of who we are and what we seek to conserve, restore, and improve upon for the mutual benefit of all its inhabitants. Pretty cut and dry. First, I want to allay anybody's fears. We are not environmental police. We are not enforcement for any type of laws. We are basically here to improve on the environment. Some of the things you might want to know is that we are the only town in Windham County that does not have a conservation commission. And you might say, well, it's going to cost money. No. That's why they put us on last. But what we can do as a commission is we can apply for grants for assorted environmental improvement, like everybody is familiar with the Japanese knotweed, or the barberry, or buckthorn, or Asian bittersweet. All of those things are invasives. And the odd thing is all that stuff came in by people. You know, years back they were brought in as ornamental decorative plants, and birds and Mother Nature helped spread it around, and now it's an absolute disaster. So in order to take care of that, that would cost money, hence the grants. We would not operate on a budget through the town. As far as any money we get would be money that we've had donated by individuals or money we take in as grants. And that money would go directly to maintaining some sort of attempt. And I say that because the invasives are anybody knows they are crazy. And the only way to do some of them is by herbicides. And I know when I say herbicides, people go, oh geez, they're gonna spray poison. Believe me, we have already investigated a lot of this. And while you can pull up some of these plants, they're gonna come right back if you left a little piece of root in there. And directly to the state biologists referring to invasives, I've been told point blank, the only way you're going to eradicate them, if you eradicate them totally, is going to be with herbicides. So that's just one of the small things that we would be involved in. We'd like to do an inventory of our ash tree because, as you know, we are being invaded by something called the emerald ash borer. And they are going to be killing lots of ash trees. One of the ideas we had is to put an inventory, do an inventory on the town roads, see what we have for ash that's basically in the town right away. Another thing that we've talked about doing is doing a invasive control on lily pond and perhaps enhancing the area around lily pond to protect some of the wetland over there. The state has purchased a big piece on the back side of Lily Pond, but the front side is either privately owned or we own it, just like the island. And the problem out there is most of you who go out there, you'll know, it's like every time you go, you got to pick up junk. My wife is ready to find out who it is that drinks Carlo Rossi wine. Because there are always, and this is not even a joke, there's always Carlo Rossi bottles out there. So those are just the tip of the iceberg. What we could do is endless, and the good thing about it is the dollar amount is zero. We are volunteers, and we're looking for people to join this commission. If you want to be on the commission, I would say you're going to get appointed by the select board, so you drop your name to them, and they in turn would tell us if we become a commission. But this is a no-brainer, in my opinion. I mean, I hunt, I fish, I'm on Lily Pond, I'm on the Connecticut River, you name it, I'm everywhere. And you see these kind of things happening. And now with the state land, you know, that's some beautiful property up there. We could be doing things like bike trails, you know, better marked hiking trails, you know, with actual mileage. Well, if I'm going to leave here, it's going to be 2.3 miles to point A to point B. You know, simple stuff. And at the same time, making people more aware of how diverse our ecology is here in Vernon. And we are really in a remarkable spot. That lily pond is a one of a kind. It doesn't look like much, I admit. You could walk across it sometimes, but it is a one of a kind piece of water. So that's what we're asking for. We're asking for the select board to give us their blessing and let us become a commission. As I said, we don't need a budget. Somebody had asked, well, you know, you guys are going to need a budget. No, we don't need a budget. We're volunteers. We don't get paid. What we get is what we see. So we appreciate your support. And anybody, like I said, who's interested in getting on a commission, toss your name into the select board. And right now, I think there's 5 of us. Paul Miller's on it. Nora Manning's on it. You can read her blog. You know, she's a big nut when it comes to all of the bugs and the water and rocks and stuff like that. Some people think she's off her rocker, and I know she's off her rocker, but that's neither here nor there. She's got what it takes to help this thing go forward. And like I said, we're not environmental police. We don't want nothing to do with enforcing that kind of stuff. Our job is to get everybody involved, learn more about what we have here to conserve, and get on board and help us with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brzezinski. Any further discussion on Article 32? Seeing none. All those in favor of the article as read, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have passed Article 32. We now move to Article 33, to transact any other business which may lawfully come before said meeting, and by prior arrangement, Mrs. Harris is going to be recognized.
Thank you, Tim.
Please speak up.
Here we go again. If you have your handout, the last 2 pages speaks about ARPA. That's money that the town has received. We received $344,841 already, and we'll receive that same amount in a second installment. Now, these funds have to be used. We have to say what they're going to be used. And rather than expecting the board or our town administrator to come up with all of the things that we should be doing or ideas, we would like to ask you, if you have any ideas, after you read over this, if you would send them to us with an email. Our emails are on the web, or you can send them to Shelley, our town administrator, and we would like your input on what you want us to be spending the ARPA funds on. Thank you.
Further discussion under Article 33. Mrs. Turnley.
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. I just want to remind everyone that the 3rd installment of taxes is due next Thursday. Our office hours will be extended till 6 o'clock Wednesday night and Thursday night. And we have a drop box out on the Governor Hunt Road side if you want to drop in there. You can come to our side door, which is on the Route 142 side, and knock on the door. We'll take it there. Or you can mail it to us. We do accept postmarks as being on time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further discussion under Article 33. Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. All those in favor? Aye. We're gone. Bye.